Local music on Informante Radio. It is Black Box, Top Cherry featuring Otherwise and King Elegant with Hangover.
Ja, never. Top Cherry Day.
Sy moes gepraat van Babalas vanoggend.
It's my Cherry Day. Huh? Top Cherry.
Top Cherry.
Let me
Is she releasing something today?
I think she dropped an album over the weekend.
Yeah.
No, it's like there are like maybe 11 albums that dropped this weekend. Almal Hasmos before the Nama closing date. You have to drop before a certain date to be eligible for the NAMA nominations. I think it's on the 4th or somewhere during this week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
trying to catch the deadline, and it's the last NAMAs as we now know.
Yeah. What's the issue there, Maria? By chance I read something like that. Do you have any idea what's the plan there?
I don't think they really gave reasons why they're going to stop. Maybe it's a budget. Much on it, and we do know they do. They spend, but I mean, it's MTC. They've got the money, so I don't really know. Maybe they don't feel it adds really value to their brand.
Maybe they're changing their policy of pouring money into these things. I think they pulled out of the football as well.
Yeah,
which is something that they have been supporting for a while. Maybe the GBV boxing things is I don't know work out.
And also, I guess I was just a production. This is wrong. That is wrong. The mics, the whites. We're just never satisfied with their production. Even though we're happy now that we're hearing that it's the last one, we're very sad. But we were the biggest critics. So also, it does nothing for the brand if you're all getting all this criticism. It's not like you get this praise.
but perhaps the awards will go on. Maybe just not.
Else will probably come take it up. What was it before?
Sanlam.
And so on and so on.
I remember that year Gaza and the Dog were taking it every year. The Sanlam Music Awards.
Toe's dit nog GMP mshacho. Laat mekaar geslat, joh.
We were counting them like Messi and Ronaldo's talent. It's like, big no buy. Nee, Gaza had 3. Nee, Dog had 4. The evolution of local music. All right, good morning, guys. Welcome to our live stream on Informante's Facebook page. I see a bunch of you already logged on. DJ X, it's the first time I'm seeing your name here. Good morning, welcome to the show, man. It's nice to know you're listening. For this morning, of course, we cannot avoid talking about, firstly, the election results, which finally came out over the weekend. So maybe let's start there before, we start swimming with the sharks. Never.
Yeah, but
Because you must be the happiest guy. You were probably jumping up and down Saturday morning, right?
For what? Jumping up and down for what?
Yeah, I mean, your resounding victory.
I just a resounding victory for who? For me?
For you and your presidential candidate and your preferred party.
No, you putting me in a position here.
It's
I'm not
because the
saying,
documentary came out last night that you are trying to distance yourself.
I'm not saying who I voted for. And what lag je, Maria? Who lag je? We're not asking your opinion here.
Before the 1st of December, Neville, you were all, affiliated with no shame. Now all of a sudden
You did not come with a Supper Party shirt.
It was they maniki. Jy moes maniki aangetrek.
Maniki. No, I think in my humble view, when the results came out on Saturday, I still don't understand how certain statements were made before the final results were announced. It's the first time in my life that I see something like that there was a press statement, not a press statement, but I saw something on social media that the president released saying that he hears all of you, what you guys were saying. But nevertheless, all the way from 87% to 56% was a clear message, I guess, that the voters sent out there.
What was the message?
I think the message was that, Comrade President, we are not happy with a few things that's happening in the country. So, but I sincerely hope that the President did see that and corrective measures will be taken from here going forward. The party itself also, SWAPO, from 85%, Maria, 86% to 65% or something like that, or 63%.
Yeah, they were in the 80s and they are now down to the 60s.
Yeah, and they also did not get the two-third majority.
Yes, I'm sure everybody knows by now, but just the journalist in me. Right, results came out on Saturday. We now know that the president has won with 56.4, 60.4, I think, percent, which is a drop from his 87% from in the 2014 elections. Just to paint the contrast is quite simple. In 2014, he got the highest vote for a SWAPO candidate ever in the history of SWAPO. And this year, he got the lowest ever vote in the history of SWAPO for a SWAPO candidate. So it's a huge contrast how this person that was seemingly the most popular presidential candidate 5 years later is the least most popular party candidate, but obviously that can be attributed to a lot of factors like the economy, the fish rot, the corruption, and just the state of affairs of the country. Secondly, we now know that SWAPO has lost a total 14 seats, putting them down to 63 seats now in Parliament, which means they are 1 seat short of the two-third majority. We know, for example, PDM has gained 16 seats, which is a huge victory there. So they're still the official opposition party. I'm happy to see youth. When I say youth, I'm talking about 23, 22-year-olds on the list. So we have 23-year-olds and 22-year-olds going to Parliament for the first time in the history of Namibia. Omake.
Omake.
No, that is huge.
Omake.
That is huge. And then to add to that, just a little bit on the announcement that the president yesterday, there are people saying it was very premature, and I do understand those feelings, but also there were only, I think, 6 constituencies that still needed to be tallied. And even with the numbers in those constituencies, there was no way that it would have gone to second round. He was already comfortably ahead, that it wouldn't have been such a significant drop.
It wouldn't have dragged him to below 50.
It wouldn't have dragged him
plus
to
1%.
Yes, it wouldn't have. So obviously, maybe they got overly excited, or they wanted to get ahead of the results. I don't know, but what I'm saying is Yeah, he was a clear winner at that point, as we now know already. And yeah, that's, I think, in terms of election results, that's what we have. Obviously, a lot of fake news going on during the time. ECN did come forward and try and say, well, guys, calm down. We've seen these reports. They're not true, but I think there's still a lot there that is happening. I saw like a statement, a police statement. I don't know if that was also fake. That was being circulated on a woman that made a statement. Seemingly, I don't know if it's true. Like I said, there were a video of somebody behind the scenes showing how they incorrectly
I saw that.
Counted the votes. There was, for example, Windhoek West to East sheet that was posted that if you tally the votes, they were wrong. Like I think the total, they said 2,179, but if you counted those votes, or for all the parties and everything, it counted for 2,187, I think, like it was 10 less. So there's stuff like that. There's those inconsistencies. But like, I mean, ECN has, maybe that's also where the delay was, because ECN said they do have to verify and double check everything to make sure it checks out. So if figures are coming in and they're not correct, it should be up to ECN to rectify that before they clock it in. So, yeah, that's election fever for you. Now we wait for another 5 years.
But do you think they did themselves justice with the EVMs, especially for the next election? Is this conversation now gone? Are we all going to be happy to vote on these machines next time around?
I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon, because there's been a lot of controversies around the EVM
about
machines.
The machines, yeah.
And I think when I spoke to you guys, when we had this little debate in studio last week, not that you guys were against or I am for it, but I said to you guys last week, come on, we're on the threshold of the elections. There's no way that we can change this now. We are, the EVMs is what it is. We're going to do the EVMs and finish in class.
Full steam ahead.
Yeah, but then again, like some of the instances that Maria is talking about here, you know what, Maria? I've seen numerous of these allegations over the weekend, and you can't but think for yourself, jeez, maybe this is true, maybe this is not. But it puts so much doubt in your head about the credibility of these machines that you have. There's no way that this will just go away anytime soon.
Do you understand now why I decided I want to switch off for the weekend?
Nee, ek verstaan.
Yeah, but to add to that, I'm so sorry. Let's also not forget that the ballot was also a problem.
Yeah.
In fact,
true.
In fact, the EVM results have never been challenged, but every year with the ballot has been. So the ballot has been. I'm talking about with EVMs, we make a noise before the elections, and then maybe during, as we are voting, there's like a lot of reports. But afterwards, when the results are announced, nobody ever goes to, unless this is what Itula is planning on doing, the doctor. Nobody's ever gone to court and contested the results. They're accepted. They're always accepted as is. Unlike the ballot, where we now, like I think before the EVM, the previous two elections. So the last one of Sem Nujoma and the one of Pohamba, the 2 terms of Pohamba with the ballot, those were contested in court. So again, do we want to go to a system where results are contested afterwards, or do we want to stay with a system, try to improve it? That yes, there is a lot of bickering and backchat and displeasure, I can call it, with it before, but then afterwards people are happy.
I think now, after the elections, before we have to go to the polls again next year for the local government elections, I think now is the perfect time to have a serious conversation around the EVMs. Not wait until we get to another election and then want to run to the courts at that time. So we can just fix it for the sake of the democracy in this country.
Can they run a referendum? Like use the EVMs to run a referendum.
Come on, for a referendum, we use the EVM. Should we use the EVM?
Yes or no?
Don't go vote. No, just carry the machine out of the hall with you.
Cubis, maybe just to, in conclusion to this, before you do read your comments on the election. So, guys, where to now for Dr. Itula?
To his dental practice. What do you mean? We already spoke about this. There are no second prizes.
Hello. You see what you just caused now?
It's
Maria
not-
just spilled her coffee again.
They keep poking holes in Maria's cup.
I don't
Maria,
know
wat
why
maak jy
they
vir die mense
do
by die kant?
this. Sofeki Batalni. Anyway, what's next for the doctor? I actually think he will stay visible on the front, because what he's done is now he's energized the youth. So I think, like, in terms of demonstrations, I think for the next 5 years we're going to be seeing a lot of demonstration. Let me just say, like, that's my prediction. People are starting to take to the streets for anything they're not happy about. They're learning to mobilize better. Namibians are really still not, like, the best at mobilizing, but I see them getting better at it at every turn. The crowds keep growing, and even the messages that they send are more unison. So I suspect in the next, and not just for Namibia, by the way, protests right now globally, they're increasing everywhere. So this is not just unique to Namibia, but this is what's happening with now social media and the technology we had, where we can kind of exchange and use it to mobilize ourselves better. People are now taking more to the streets. So I see the next 5 years, if people are not happy with government, if people are not happy with the ruling party, definitely people will take to the streets. And I seriously, honestly believe that Itula will be at the forefront at every turn of these demonstrations. So he's not going to let his name die out necessarily.
I'm not too sure. I think I saw something on WhatsApp last night that there was a petition that somebody wrote something. There's supposed to be a protest, I think today. What's today? The 2nd of December.
Yeah.
That they want to drop a petition to the president to urging him to get rid of these ministers who are implicated in corruption, etc., etc.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, they want to bring this country, on a civil standstill. So, and like you do say, Maria, let's see. We are very young when it comes to protesting. I mean, post-independence.
Yeah.
Some of the protests that I've seen, I think the biggest protest that I've seen was probably the AR one.
The landless for the land.
Yeah, for the land, and when they were protesting, not to build the new state house or something, or the new parliament or whatever. Like
2014,
that. 2014. But just to come back to Dr. Itula, I think for me personally, he brought a completely different element to what we used to in terms of politics. I think what we've said is that we're going to see this trend of independent candidacy. This will go on now because everybody sees how effective this is. I think he has made a lot of inroads in terms of, in politics as to the whole dynamics of politics. But then again, I wouldn't want to see him completely vanish off the scene. I hope he's got some staying power, but like I told you guys, personally, I can say it outright now, I didn't vote for him. The reason why I didn't vote for him was because I didn't know him. And
your vote can be your secret.
No, it's all right. It's not my secret. He's been with me, for me personally, for 2 months only. And that is why I did not give my vote to him. I'm not saying who I gave my vote to. Okay, what can
No. I was actually as you're talking. Not even as you're talking. No, I didn't either, so it's fine.
Yeah.
As you're talking, I thought of something, and it's what I was saying. I was having this discussion with a friend, and I said, yes, we're probably going to see more independent candidate if the SOPO doesn't amend its constitution, because it's not good enough to just be an independent candidate. You need to have that card. That SOPO card is what's really gonna, you can win. There's a chance of you winning with it as an independent candidate, but there's almost zero chance of you winning without it.
Yeah.
It depends on what kind of campaign you run.
No, I think, to be honest, it's like how you say, what's his name, Hidipo. Mutenya was a very effective leader.
Yeah.
Very effective leader, very popular. Within the party, even at the time, and even on a national level. But by virtue of him leaving SWAPO...
No, but look how well he did in 2009.
But he didn't really do well. He thought all he did was topple DTA, but he didn't do well. Like, he had, 3 seats? That's it.
Yeah.
But in any event, what I was saying, I actually think the one that could be potentially successful, and this is a fact, and I think we might be moving to that, don't quote me, if AR registers their movement as a political party, I promise you there's problems.
You think?
I actually think they're moving towards that. I actually think they've been very patient. I think they started as a movement, not necessarily to test the water, but to affect change. And they're seeing the popularity and how they're growing and the influence, because that's really what you want. The influence. Job Amopanda has a lot of political influence on the youth. I mean, that's why he's able to mobilize so well. And it gets stronger by the day because he has been speaking up on social issues. So people see him as somebody on their side, somebody there to affect change. Now, whether he's going to be a good leader once in or not is another question. But I'm saying right now people see him as one of us. A foot soldier, somebody that wants to affect change and bring the necessary change and turn this government upside down. And if AR were to register as a political party, which I actually think they're moving towards, this is just my suspicions, then after 5 years, we're going to have the most interesting. If you thought this was an interesting election, that's going to be an interesting one.
Can't wait for 2024.
I've never.
Hold on.
You just caught me off guard, Maria. But that assessment is a very strong assessment. But kom ons hoor wat sê Cubase hierso.
Johan van Beek say, please don't beat around the bush. The only thing we want to talk about is the dual SIM card iPhone. We want to talk about the dual SIM card iPhone. Guys, let's get to fish rod. Like I was saying to Neville this morning, I didn't catch the entirety of the documentary yesterday. So let's maybe start with what's new. Apart from what we already knew with regards to the fish rod story, what were the new revelations from yesterday's?
There weren't many new revelations per se, but what the Al Jazeera reported is it kind of tried to substantiate this claims that these people are corrupt by having hidden cameras and approaching them with bribes and them going for it. So that's what the other documentaries that we've watched up to now and the other reports we've been reading have not done. So that's why the Al Jazeera documentary was so special and everybody couldn't wait to see it because it basically netted these people on camera, like to a point that they can't deny it. But it focused predominantly, we now know, and then it added 2 people that we previously were not talking about. So it had obviously the minister, now a former minister of fisheries, caught on camera, soliciting bribes and engaging with money laundering. Then they added Sisa Namanja, who we know is like probably is the most prominent lawyer in the country and most affluent one as well. And then we had Saki Amomo Kadila, also a businessman. And also, I think he's got a legal background, right?
He's got a legal background.
He's got a legal background. But he's
that
in
guy
business.
who kept eating.
Yeah. Yes. Koma is eating Namibia.
Maria. Oh, you there. His pie stood. Maria, I know you're very enlightened about certain things. Unlike certain people will remain nameless. Have you ever been to a strip club?
I have.
Okay.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. But what I will say is I didn't go to a strip club after I I rounded off figures to sell off a country or ask for a dual SIM card. So, yeah.
That's how things work.
I told Cubase, he's never been to a strip club.
Nope.
I pledge myself that somewhere, somehow, if I make enough money somewhere.
You've never been there?
No, he's never been there. No, I've been to a few strip clubs.
It's enjoyable.
I love strip clubs.
It's enjoyable. So I don't think it's so much that he was in a strip club.
I will just not go with my son-in-law.
He didn't go with his son-in-law. Why are people saying?
I don't know why people are saying.
People are saying he went with his son-in-law, but no. The documentary clearly stated that he went with two politicians who they didn't name and they blurred out their faces. He said after the dinner we went with the minister with two politicians, and clearly none of them is Thompson or Fitty as we know him.
Yeah.
So I don't know why these people are saying he went with his son-in-law. He didn't. He didn't. And I don't think he would, in all honesty. He's got a real love for his daughter. So, anyway, so I think, the shocking thing was that this man just got a dual SIM card phone that he had requested the previous meeting in black. That's only available in China. And then it initially asked for 170. Initially it was 170. So he said 70 for him and $100, by the way, for the party.
Yeah.
At this meeting, he says, no, but put it in Saki's account, but round it off to 200,000. I don't know how that's a round off, but again, round it off. And then goes after this. This is so you've just solicited bribes to sell our natural resources. And then you go and celebrate at a strip club. I think that's why it was shocking, because also like he's a married man and people are not really anticipating or expecting it. And he's at the forefront of, one girl there, one girl there, one girl there, and one girl here. And then talking about how he paid 14,000 US when he was in Geneva. So people are just like, so you're spending these hefty amounts on strippers or like sex workers? We don't now know. I mean, for 14,000, I have to think it's a little bit more than a lap dance. But it's shocking. It's like these are people that you like respected and looked up to and like were quite prominent.
Maria, I tell you, I started watching the documentary yesterday morning around 11:30, and
when I sent the link.
Yeah, when you sent the link. Maria, I'm telling you, I think once when I was done with that documentary, I think I was emotionally drained. I could not believe the magnitude of, in our little country, holding, certain figures, as you just rightfully said, in such high esteem, that something like this can happen in our country. And I really had to sit, even though that we've seen this about 3 weeks ago already, but it was so detailed yesterday that how the paper trail went and Saki being interrogated, Saki drinking his water. Die man
he forgot his raras.
Die man se lippe is droog.
You didn't see that?
I didn't watch the documentary.
Was that entrapment? Did he know that?
But that's what I was telling you, what I understood. And I said this, I think 3 weeks ago on air, that I said I had it on record, that with Saki, he, I think, had gone to Morocco for some official business. I think it was Morocco. He went for some official business. Al Jazeera contacted him. They said they wanted to discuss or to have an interview about Namibia, his ministry, what he's doing and whatever. And it's Al Jazeera, right? So Saki, being Saki, got overly excited, was happy to show up to the interview and get interviewed because he's thinking national or international news.
Yeah.
And so then they put the mic on him, set up in a hotel or wherever. And then they start asking him initially questions about, his ministry, whatever, his country, and corruption.
I saw them leading him up to
So they started with the corruption questions. No, it's minuscule. We're not really concerned with corruption because it's minuscule.
I've never heard the word minuscule.
Minuscule. It's like
it's not
little.
Minuscule.
Minuscule.
Oh, okay.
Meaning it's little.
Yeah, I went to public school.
Anyway, so he was saying that basically there's almost no corruption in the country. That's why they don't really concern themselves with it. It's on a very low level. And then the reporter just like, but you were identified by Johnson Stephenson in this. And he was like, I challenge you to show me. And the guy was like,
show you.
Seen it, the guy's pulling for his water. He needs to take a sip. His throat is dry. It was his facial like his facial expressions, the way they changed. No, guys, it was a lot.
It's amazing. So Neville basically.
All I can tell you guys, and I'm putting
putting
this on record. Okay, if I'm gonna do any business deal from here going forward, okay, even if it's, we will be butt naked in the desert in Swakopmund. Kal. Ons sal daar so staan in the middle of the
with
desert.
The wind blowing.
With the wind blowing. Your car is over there in Walfish Bay. Mine is at Langstrand. We'll meet there. Kal. Okay, let's talk business. If it's not there, we'll talk business in the ocean, in the pool. You will not come with your microphones and your lenses and whatever. Nee man,
I've got
a
better idea.
What?
Stop selling the country.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And by the way,
you're trying to figure out solutions on how better to sell the country.
Exactly. And by the way, that documentary of Al Jazeera wasn't actually what broke my heart. Prior to that, I think on Friday or Saturday, there was another one that was released by the Icelandic broadcaster. That I posted on the group, where they were touching on the poverty of the country, like really showing like how corruption
affects the everyday person.
And they went to Umbili, and you could see the people, the food they were eating, they said like rotten food, and they were like this. We don't have a choice. They interviewed a child saying that, they only eat once a week.
Is there a link?
Yeah, and that one broke my heart, guys. It really, really finished me.
I've got a comment here from Des van Wyk. Neville. I challenge you to bite on this one. Fish Road Investigations. How does one trust our legal system if our lawyers are used by ministers for bribing and money laundering? Big ups to Norman Shombe. How do we trust our current president when his personal lawyer, Sisa Namanje, is helping to sell our resources? Bite.
I'm not biting on that fish. Yeah, but you know what? It's a good question. I think Cesar Namanje has always been held at high esteem when it comes to many cases in our country. I don't move around in legal circles, so I don't know what is his success rate in terms of cases that he took on. But again, him asking that question, wow. It puts things into perspective. A lot of people probably think or feel that this is a whole cartel that we are dealing with at the moment, from government to legal to the executives to everyone. Seems like How
ugly do you think it's going to get? Because now even the party itself is sort of implicated in the whole thing.
But by the way, with Sisa, there was a contrast. Initially, he says very well, goes on record and says, "I'm here to help you how to do it legally."
Yeah, that's
so. It was very clear that I'm not
doing shady stuff.
Into doing shady stuff, and that's why he even referred I can refer you to other people. I don't really necessarily want to. And then there was also a point where he said, "I don't want to be privy to those conversations of where you want the money going to. I would rather it not be discussed in my presence." So he seemed to have taken a principled stance. But the fact that he then knows he's opening out his fund, like his law firm's trust, for money laundering. He knows it's money laundering because they, amongst him and the Saki Amomo, discussed what the reference numbers that should be used, and it was for a property deal, and they knew the money wasn't coming in for property.
It goes to the minister.
It's going to the minister. So then it's like he all of a sudden doesn't have a principled stance on the issue. So my thing is which is which? Is it to be seen to take a principled stance or to be principled? Because if you are, you would have rejected even your accounts being used and said, whoa, no. My accounts are not to be used for money laundering.
I mean, it's almost clear that he knows what is happening, because he tells the reporter, it's like, hey, stop talking to people about paying the minister.
Yes.
You will end up, in handcuffs.
Wat
het jy jou mic aangemaak? Ja,
asseblief.
As met draad nou weer reg.
Ja. Anyway, but you were saying how far? What was your question?
How far do you think it's going to? How ugly is it going to get?
Oh, because of the SWAPO party that's also implicated.
Yes.
That's a very good question, because if the party in itself is implicated and the party is the one in power, are they going to clean house? I doubt it, right? I doubt they're going to clean house, because how far does that mess extend to? And yes, and there are people that said, and rightfully so, they said, yeah, but we have no way of knowing that this money really went to SWAPO. It's correct, yes, we really don't have any way of knowing it. They're very just in saying so. But here's the thing, why can people use their name so easily?
And Maria, don't you think it's also important that that the ruling party needs to come out, especially this week, to rebuff the allegations?
They probably will, but what I'm trying to say is what I'm seeing, the tone I'm seeing right now is that they're putting it on individuals. Like, it's not the whole party, it's individuals. But you're forgetting that those individuals are still on a party list.
Yes.
That you refuse, you said you're going to keep them on. You forget that you have two convicted, because these ones will still have investigation, they're still going to appear before courts and whatever. But you have two convicted people on your list that you're allowed to be there. So at the end of the day, for me, it's like, yes, you are like, oh, it's individuals, but you allow these individuals to still have influence in the party.
You're endorsing their corruption.
I never get this image out of my head, by the way. When the president was addressing the youth at the National Theatre, and he's talking about corruption, and the camera swings, and right there, sitting right there in the front, was Katrina Hanza-Imarwa, who is convicted of corruption. So you're sending a strong message about corruption, but on the contrast, in your audience, at the front seat, you have in your audience a minister, a former minister that's convicted of corruption. So it's like, how strong are we? Like, for me, when you send a message about corruption, you have to be so strong that it sends such a correct message that people will not even dare use your name to try and solicit, because they will know your position. Like, there's no way that money is for the president, or there's no way that money is for SWAPO, because SWAPO stands against corruption strongly, and against bribery, and against whatever. But if we are kind of just wishy-washy on the issue, and as we see that they are, of course, I can go to anybody and say, it's for SWAPO.
I remember a few years ago with the Avid saga. Our founding father's name was also used in the, in the same vein allegedly by Ralph Blau at the time, when he said that he was sent by the founding father to clinch this deal. And obviously the founding father came out with a statement saying that he was not privy to this information, and his name will not and shall not be used by anyone in that light. So, like you do say, it seems like there's a trend, that there's some name dropping going on here. Whether it's true or not, we don't know.
No, name dropping can happen, but that's what I'm saying. You need to take a principled stance on it, so that people can't name drop.
You can't be standing saying me and my corrupt brass are fighting corruption. It doesn't work that way. Colin Unjituba, I can't believe my country was sold for a dual SIM card iPhone, a black one even. Oh, and a lap dance. Let's not forget the lap dance.
No, and let's not forget the t-shirts. The SWAPO t-shirts.
It's a chille t-shirts ook gekry.
Ja, is that t-shirt wat hy gesê het Vrydag aangaan? So I thought people are buying these t-shirts. How do you get them distributed for free?
Hanakam.
For free.
Here's one from John Tembo. I severally watched Fishrot Al Jazeera's documentary. Okay, I don't know what that means. And I can tell you there is more we don't know about corruption in Namibia, particularly on mining industry. Our resources are being sold out by those governing officials.
We definitely need a whistleblower in JIPF. We definitely need a whistleblower in Kora. We definitely need a whistleblower in the mining industry. There is a lot of dirt and filth.
Definitely. Erwin Kahorere. I am more concerned with who will be representing the state in this Fishrot case. We need some really good lawyers. We will be fighting against some of the best lawyers who represented Zuma.
We now know who it is, actually. It's a Lani, what's the name van Week of iets.
Van Wyk.
Neville, you Jaken must.
Yeah, the lawyer. I've never heard of him, but it's definitely a white guy. I don't really know his credentials, like how far or how good he is. But his name we know because his name has been the state prosecutor in the case has been published.
Okay. I am telling my kids, Saki is Kablo. You guys remember Kablo? It's
This Kablo.
You don't remember Kablo?
The guy was shot by the
shot
cops
by the
in
cops
Banana.
about 2 years ago.
Oh, Kablo, yes, they gangster.
Yes. Emily Dion and Dapuka. Oh, Neville and Maria, you guys are the best presenters.
No.
Hela, jela check if Maria.
Yeah.
Hey, dit was a documentary ga
The
check.
three of
It's only today. It's a documentary ga check.
Maria toch, he pulled his water tieto. What?
Yeah.
Oh, Saki, lost of a Saki 8. I want to see that the president is going, or what the president is going to do with everyone involved in the fish rod. And Saki's wife, she also part of fish rod to make money look like it's for property investment.
Can we not drag people's wives into this? I mean, I know she was on camera, but she was on camera because people came to see properties, which she seems to be managing.
Yeah.
So I don't think she necessarily knew the extent to which her husband is doing business, because especially, I can say for a fact, Wampo men generally keep their partners in the dark about this type of things. But what I'm trying to say, her being on is not necessarily to show that she was part of the scheme. It was to show that the business belonged to him and his wife is running it.
Yeah.
That's why she was in that documentary.
Monica Ushona Itula. Okay. That's a name is going to get you into trouble. They must step down. We cannot be led by thieves and mafias. Sharks Charlie. Swapo is funded by #FishRod. Kaingop should be impeached. Straight up. That guy played a hardcore game since he was PM. He was already doing dirty games using Shangala and others. That's what I was about to say. Stick away from making allegations that we cannot prove.
Yeah. Let's stick to the facts.
Yes, like we're not gonna defame or impugn anybody's character on this show, unless of course they're guilty. Then we're gonna go all in.
Or seemingly guilty.
Yeah.
Elton Tito Nguaiko. Neville is always very careful when it comes to Swapo and big cats involved. Are you clean, Omes?
No, I mean he makes comedy for these people. Like Lost Man's bread and butter issues.
Come on, but that Maria is too sharp. Just imagine being her husband and you come home late.
I agree.
My boyfriend's a very happy person.
No, we need to talk to him ourselves. Don't come here
I'll
and
give
talk
you his number.
On his behalf.
I'll give you his number.
Yeah. But you must stand far when we talk to him.
He bang me.
Any man who's not scared of his woman is... we don't believe it. It's impossible. We are all scared of our wives and the women in our lives.
Bobo van Wyk, the state must definitely be represented by Mr. Norman and Mrs. Chase.
Yeah, except they can't because they're not for the state.
They're
like
private practitioners.
We can pay them, those.
No, you can't.
The
state can only be represented by
state lawyers. Huh?
Let me ask Chance. The state can only be represented by those working for the state.
By state prosecutors.
Yeah, you can't get a private to come and represent the state.
I see.
Yeah.
So we don't have those special counsel, special prosecutor type of things here.
Let's not undermine state prosecutors because they are really... It's like, remember what is this guy that shot his girlfriend on Valentine's Day?
Gertrude.
In South Africa.
Pistorius. Oscar Pistorius.
Yeah, with Oscar Pistorius, we now know Gert, right? What's his name? Gert Nel? What?
Oh, his lawyer.
Not his lawyer, the one that stood for the state.
Oh, yes,
the prosecutor.
Yes.
Gary Nel.
Yeah, Gary Nel.
Okay,
Gary Nel, whatever.
Yeah, Gary.
No one say Jerry Nel. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Apples. we now know how good he was. He was masterful, and he was a state prosecutor. So, and I know for a fact within the state there are really some really good state prosecutors. So let's not think that the best ones are all in private. There are really some good ones there, and then I trust that we will get somebody that can handle this case very well. Oh, there's a lot. It shouldn't be a difficult case because there's a lot there. And I don't think those South Africans are coming back, by the way. Let's must make 10 days.
Check it. Bridget Leipert. When slay queens sell themselves for iPhones, people get loud. Here we have a whole minister selling the country for a dual SIM card. I told you, let's slow down. Okay, guys, we need to go.
Before we go, can we talk about quickly? We didn't talk about it because it happened on Friday.
What?
The 2 South African lawyers that were arrested.
Oh, yeah, the Fish Road lawyers.
That is like, it's starting to look like a series. So I'm sure people know by now, but if
they
they don't
didn't know that they had to.
No, they knew. They just lied. They lied to immigrations. Come on, they're coming for a visit.
No, of course. But
your suitcase, but file set and documents.
But Maria, I mean, seriously, did these guys think we are so stupid?
Yeah, and what they actually don't realize is Namibia actually has and this is what most people think. This is not also just because it's this case. Yes, there's more scrutiny on this one. But what I'm trying to say, generally, Namibia has very strong immigrations and laws and customs actually as well. So immigrations were like, hey, so let us visit Mount Sinai in your hof no. Was it? And they came, and those guys were slapped, and they admitted they killed. They weren't even going to fight it. They were very smart to take somebody like Essie.
Yeah,
was
Essie the
representing them.
Oh, representing.
Yeah, and she just said that they are sorry. They know what they did is wrong. They're not trying to waste the court's time, and just please give them a fine and let them go back home. They won't do it again. I doubt those guys are coming back. I'm sure like the invoice will include that 10,000 for the bail, but they're not coming back.
I can already see how they speak to their clients. Luister, julle manne. Fuck, nie weer. Ons is klaar. Ons bye-bye.
On that note.
En op daai noot sê ek vir julle bye-bye. See julle môre.
All right, guys, we're out of here. We are also officially launching Q24.
What is it?
Q24.
Yeah.
Q2024.
Oh!
Yes. If you want to donate to the campaign, please put the money in Neville's account. And it will go to the presidential campaign of... I love this country, man. We are out of here, guys. We'll be back on Tuesday. Stick around for Hannes Kaufman. He's joining you next on In the Mix.